Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be going over graphing quadratics. So the first 5 problems have a vertex of 0, 0. So with these, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a table of values. So anytime you're graphing any type of equation, you can always make a table of values or a function table to graph the equation. So the values of x we're going to use are -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So what we're going to do is we are going to plug these into the equation and use our calculator to calculate the f of x value or the y value for that equation. So for the first one, we're going to plug in -2. So we're going to do f of -2 equals 2 parentheses -2 parentheses squared. And this is exactly what we're going to type in our calculator. Not going to add any times things, nothing like that. So type it in exactly the way that is, and you should get 8. So 8 is going to go up here in our table. Then if I hit the up arrow and I go back to the problem I typed in, I can replace the -2 with the -1, and I get 2. And I can replace the -1 with a 0. So if you want to delete something, there's a DEL button next to the arrow left button. You can delete the negative and then replace the 1 with a 0. And we get 0. Then we go up and replace the 0 with a 1. And we get 2. And we go up and replace the 1 with a 2. And we get 8. And you'll notice the values repeat. Then we're going to graph our points. So we're going to go left 2, up 8. Left 1 up 2, 0, 0, right 1 up 2, right 2 up 8, and it's going to make a parabola or a curve shape like that roughly. And that is how you do those. Okay? So let's look at number 2 together. So the only difference between 1 and 2 is that negative out front. So all it's going to do is flip it over. But we're still going to make our table. And we are going to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So 1 through 5, you're using all of those same values for x. They do not change. So we're going to do f of -2 equals -2 parentheses -2 parentheses squared. So we're going to type that in our calculator, -2 parentheses -2 parentheses squared. And we get -8 in this case. Then we're going to go up and replace the -2 in the parentheses with a -1. And we get -2. Then we're going to delete the negative and replace the 1 with a 0. And we get 0. Then we're going to go up and replace the 0 with a 1. And we get -2. Then we're going to hit the up arrow and replace the 1 with a 2. And we get -8. So we're going to plot our points. -2, -8 means I go left 2, down 8. -1, -2 means I go left 1, down 2, 0, 0. Then right 1, down 2, and right 2, down 8. And that is going to be our graph. Okay, so finish up 3, 4, and 5 just like that. And I'm going to move on to number 6. So number 6 is in what's called vertex form. So vertex form gives you the vertex with h and k. So vertex form is f of x equals a parentheses x minus h parentheses squared plus k. So the h and the k are your x and your y. So h represents your x, k represents your y. Oops, I started writing that right. K represents your y. So in our problem here, we have x and y. So on this one, we're going to set up our table a little bit differently. Okay, so this is my vertex. The vertex is the center value of my parabola. That is the middle of my table. And when we put our x and y in here, we got to remember that x's lie. So if this says -4 here, it's actually going to be +4 in my table. And y is what it says, so -1 goes for f of x. So that's going to be the middle of my table. So the way I fill out my other 4 x values is I go down by 2 and I go up by 2. So 1 less than 4 is 3. 1 less than 3 is 2. Then we hop back to 4. 1 more than 4 is 5. and 1 more than 5 is 6. So those are my 5 values I'm going to use. Next, I do recommend you write this down at least once, and then you can just plug it into your calculator. And we're not using -2, we're using +2. So we're going to do f of 2 equals -2 parentheses 2 minus 4 squared minus 1. So we're just plugging the number straight in. There's no extra parentheses to put in. And that is what we're going to type in our calculator. And then we're just going to replace this 2. Oops. This 2 is what's going to get replaced each time that I just colored in blue. So we're going to do -2 parentheses 2 minus 4 parentheses squared minus 1. And we get -9. Okay, so we hit the up arrow, go over to that 2 that I'm going to replace now with a 3. And we should get -3. And just as an insurance policy, I'm going to check and make sure 4 gives me -1, and it does. So I did that all correctly. Then we're going to plug in 5, and we get -3. And then we're going to go up and plug in 6, and we get -9. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plot all those points, obviously. So 2, -9 is right 2, down 9. 3, -3 is right 3, down 3. 4, -1. 5, -3. And 6, -9. So that is the graph of that equation. Okay. Let's look at number 7 together. Then we'll set up number 8, and then the rest are yours to do. Okay. So again, we're going to set up our table. And this time I have +1 here next to x, and x is lie. So we put -1 there. And then I've got -1 on the outside, so that goes with f of x. So 1 less than -1 is -2. Then we have -3. Then 1 greater than -1 is 0. And then we have 1. So I'm going to do f of -3 equals -2 times -3 plus 1 squared minus 1. Again, this is what's going in my calculator. So we have -2 parentheses -3 plus 1 squared minus 1. And we get -9. Then we go up and replace that -3 with a -2. And we get -3. And just as an insurance policy, I'm going to plug in -1. And I do get -1. Then we're going to go up. We're going to delete the negative and type in 0. And we get -3. Then we're going to go up to 0, replace it with 1, and we get -9. So we're going to plot our points. -3, -9, -2, -3, -1, -1, 0, -3, 1, -9. And that is the graph of that. So on number 8, I'm going to help you set up the table, and you're going to plug in the equation. So with this one, we don't have a number out front, which is fine. So we don't. That's one less thing to plug in on our calculator. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So x is lie, so this is -3, so we put +3, and then we have -3 outside. So that goes under my f of x column. 1 less than 3 is 2, and then 1. 1 greater than 3 is 4, and then 5. So now we're going to plug in. So we're going to plug in f of 1 equals 1 minus 3 squared minus 3. So we're going to take this and plug it into our calculator. So we're going to do parentheses, 1 minus 3 parentheses squared minus 3. And we get 1. Okay? And then the rest is going to be up to you. So if you have any questions, please let me know when I return. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.